Good morning, everyone. First of all, I would like to thank the Africa Tech Festival for giving me the opportunity to speak at one of the biggest tech events in Africa. It's such a pleasure to meet again face-to-face so many of our colleagues and friends. Today I will talk about, in this keynote, about building a more digital and inclusive Africa. But before starting, and maybe to wake you up a little bit, please let me show you a video which introduces Orange in Africa and the Middle East. So I should push the button, I guess. And again. Today, thank you. Today, in a rapidly growing continent with nearly 1.5 billion people, we are convinced that the ongoing digital transformation will enable Africa to quickly respond to the enormous challenges it faces in education, energy, or health. Indeed, 1 in every 2 inhabitants in Africa and the Middle East is under the age of 20. The young generation is keen on new technologies and needs to be trained to digital. More than 1 in 2 Africans has no access to a reliable source of energy. And there is still an issue of limited and unequal access to care for African patients. Indeed, on the continent, there is still 1 doctor only per 1,000 inhabitants. These challenges have to be seen as opportunities for our industry to contribute to a more inclusive and digital Africa. Indeed, today, Africa is in the midst of a digital revolution, and the pandemic has shown that access to the internet has become more essential than ever to our daily lives. According to the GSMA, the number of connected individuals in Africa continues to grow with 432 million internet users at the end of 2021, projected to reach about 500 million people by 2025 connected, compared to 17 million only 20 years ago in 2005. However, inequalities between countries are still significant. Landlocked, poor, or highly unstable countries have very limited internet access compared to the average. Besides, there are also inequalities in the same countries where rural population, women, and the less educated tend to be less addressed. Therefore, Orange Middle East and Africa is on a mission to make digital available to all. Orange intends to be a leading partner in the digital transformation of the African continent, and this ambition is backed up by a strong investment in networks and becomes a reality with the digital portfolio of solutions that we are currently rolling out in the financial services, energy, education, healthcare, or content in order to meet the needs of African populations. Network and connectivity are at the heart of what we do. Deploying, operating, and maintaining these networks is key to ensure a unique digital experience. We invest over 1 billion euros every year in our networks in Africa and the Middle East. We increase coverage, backbone capacity, and internet speed for our over 140 million customers in 18 countries. We are investing massively to acquire 4G licenses, to deploy these networks, to strengthen international connectivity. It must be seen that behind these investments there are considerable inflows of money for the states and employment in the countries of Africa and the Middle East. Moreover, connectivity, especially broadband, is a real growth accelerator for countries. The growth of 4G, fiber, and 5G now in African countries will require heavy investments in subsea and land infrastructure. Through all these investments to provide connectivity, we expect to see improved high-speed and affordable broadband services in Africa, which will lead to the development of new services and new uses that will directly benefit the businesses and populations. We have many initiatives to strengthen Africa's connectivity, often in partnership with international and African players. The Africa Coast to Europe cable, submarine cable, the main one, submarine cable, the To Africa submarine cable, or Joliba, our first fiber optics Pan-African network that connects together 8 West African capitals. By the way, you have probably noticed our orange marine ship called Léon Thévenin, docked here in Cape Town. It is in charge of the maintenance operations of all submarine cables from Nigeria to Kenya, whether they belong to Orange or not. We are also overcoming the challenge of rural coverage and even ultra-rural coverage by using innovative mobile microsites which have a low energy consumption, are equipped with solar panels, and are linked to satellite networks. These sites are developed and deployed either independently or with specialized partners. This is why we were glad to announce yesterday our partnership with Vanu to cover rural areas in Côte d'Ivoire, Liberia, and Burkina Faso as part of our global IDEAL project, so-called because IDEAL means include digital in every African life. Our IDEAL project to extend coverage to 20 million rural inhabitants through the construction of 5,000 of such sites within 4 years. And while doing all this, and to liaise with the current COP27, Orange is taking actions to reduce its own environmental footprint, and force of its customers, and is helping other sectors to do so. We have the objective of meeting 50% of the group electricity needs from renewable energy by 2025. We are aiming net zero carbon by 2040, together with other partners. And in particular, Orange Africa and Ericsson are actively exploring together ways to reduce our carbon footprint by recycling equipment to achieve this target of net zero carbon by 2040. But increasing coverage network is not enough. One of the barriers to internet use is the cost of devices. Indeed, while 70% of the African population is now covered by mobile broadband, 520 million people who live in areas covered by mobile broadband networks remain unconnected for reasons such as affordability, low levels of literacy, and digital skills. Affordability of devices remains one of the most significant barriers to smartphone adoption in Africa. The average cost of an entry-level smartphone in Africa still exceeds 60% of the average monthly income, making smartphones largely inaccessible for the majority of the population. bringing that price down to $30, as we have done with our Sansa Touch phone, is a strong move to make internet available to everyone. Because we know that the mobile phones brings much more than the connectivity. It brings accessible services to the most vulnerable, reducing inequalities and lifting communities out of poverty. This is why the role of Orange has evolved from a connectivity provider to a digital multi-service operator. We offer today a wide range of essential services, from mobile money to education, from energy to health. Let me focus a little bit more on mobile money. Long excluded from the banking system, more than 70 million Africans have opened an Orange Money account since its creation in 2008. It is a major change, from storing cash money anywhere to putting it safely in an Orange Money account, from which it can be sent to anyone, pay for groceries, road taxis, school fees, and so on. Mobile money is making everyday transactions substantially easier and safer, and improving social inclusion. In particular, it helps women achieve greater autonomy, as they can use their mobile phones to gain more control over their finances. New services are constantly being developed so that everyone has access to the financial services they need. For instance, Ivorians can use Orange Money to pay for their children's school fees from their mobile, and Cameroonians can use it to pay for their property tax. In the end, these services are benefiting local economies by reducing cash circulation. We are now expanding our mobile financial services with the launch of Orange Bank Africa in Côte d'Ivoire since July 2020. It allows us to provide loans, microloans, and savings services, starting from small amounts to the largest number of customers. Orange Bank Africa has already reached 1 million customers and will expand in other countries. Good morning. I've got a video, sorry, of someone. And will expand in other countries if bank regulators allow it. This has the potential to change the lives of small business owners for the better, leading to more business and ultimately more growth and employment. We are also working, and I'm glad to see Natsimi Samu in this room, who is in charge of this, towards universal access to energy. In sub-Saharan Africa, 70% of the population overall lacks access to the electrical grid. Access to reliable and efficient energy sources has become an essential issue for every one of us. As a responsible operator, we remain convinced that digital services are a driver of progress, helping to benefit both communities and regions, and that it is our duty to fully commit ourselves to an issue as crucial as the electrification of Africa. Our Orange Energy Solar Kit service has already been launched in 10 African countries, proving the robustness of its business model. Electrical network operators can also rely on our digital expertise to offer new means of managing and supervising their operations, as well as their invoicing procedures, thanks to the managing platform that we have developed called Orange Smart Energy. Finally, education, because the wealth of the continent is its youth. There is only one wealth that counts. It's the women and men of the continent, half of whom are under the age of 20, and whose education is the cornerstone to Africa's development. Our Orange digital centers are designed to contribute to face this challenge by training the youth and reinforce their employability. We thank the German cooperation, GIZ, with which we are working on this amazing journey. The Orange Digital Centers bring together 4 strategic programs: a coding school, a Fab Lab, one of Orange Foundation's digital manufacturing workshops, an Orange Fab Startup Accelerator, and Orange Ventures Capital, the Orange Group investment arm. All of the proposed programs are free of charge and open to anyone. They range from digital training for young people, 90% of which are practical, to startup acceleration and guidance for project bureaus and investment. So far, 15 Orange digital centers have been opened in Africa and the Middle East, and to date, we have already trained 700,000 young people in our ODCs, Orange Digital Centers, of which 40% are women. By the way, I'm glad to inaugurate a new one tomorrow in Gaborone, Botswana. Orange is convinced of the infinite potential of African talents. The local tech scene is vibrant and booming, with the ever-growing number of bold and daring tech entrepreneurs tackling real daily challenges using technology and shaping the future of the continent economy. At Orange Middle East and Africa, we attach a particular importance to human capital, and especially women, and we intend to reach 40% of women in our governing bodies by 2024. Finally, we truly believe that digital can enable Africa to grow faster, train its youth, and empower its business owners. Digital is key to meeting the many challenges that the continent faces, and it is the role of an operator like Orange to make it happen. And to achieve this, we need a strong support from government to maintain our level of investment and growth, which are paving the way for a brighter and more digital future for the continent. Thank you for your attention.